365 Days of Horsemanship, day 145. Back in the car, back in the dark. Yeah, the nights are closing in a little bit. And I'm just trying to be okay with it. I'm really on a journey at the moment of just trying to roll with the constant movement of life. I had a really good session today with the horses, which I think in some ways sort of reflects that personal journey, as it always does. And I'm really happy about my ability to feel more confident in my choices. So I went for Mia today, and I had sort of already previously made the decision that I was going to use dominant leadership, dominant training today to bring her up and do her walking rehab in the arena. And I kind of got this confidence from Elsa's clinic in Poland, actually, listening to her talk about the importance of the horse feeling better, the importance of feel and timing, and ultimately with good feel and timing, you know, dominant training, there's nothing wrong with dominant training, you know, it's a personal preference, and it is faster. A lot of the time it is faster. And today I really just wanted to help her to feel better, quicker. And so I came into the herd. I wasn't really sure what to expect. Obviously I was hoping that, you know, the herd environment would have improved for her, and her anxiety would have improved sort of naturally overnight. Hasn't really. She's still quite stressed. From what I saw today, I don't think she's really stressed about anybody else except Raffi, this new horse. And I think that's par for the course. So I came up. I wasn't sure. I was hoping I would be able to, that she would come up to me and she would have the curiosity, but she definitely didn't. Her anxiety was really high and her concern was really high. And I had to push on her quite consistently with the line just at her hindquarters. Just basically played the game of pushing her with pressure until, rhythmic pressure until she looked up from the grass. Then I would stop and be in flow with her. She would go straight back to the grass, and then I would push on her again, until eventually I was able to get her to lift her head for long enough, engage with me. I was just trying to put the halter on, and all the other horses in the herd came galloping up towards her, which really freaked her out, and she didn't feel safe. But it was a good opportunity for me then to walk towards them and protect her space a little bit, which I think really helped her concern. And I was really happy to feel confident in that series of decisions. I was really happy that I was able to feel confident in my gut. These horses are kind of galloping towards her. It's just her and her friend Moondust that they were in together before that are in this field. The other horses have come right down from the top of the hill, and they're all galloping towards her, and she's like, and immediately in that moment, I knew that what she needed was to feel that her bubble wasn't being protruded on. And so I wanted to help her with that. I wanted to show her that, hey, I understand you and I am okay, to say, hey, everybody move back. You can run, but not here. This is Mia's bubble. And so I just went and just used the line in my voice. I use a little when I don't want them to come too close to me. And yeah, and actually I did feel her stress levels and her trust improving me a little bit, which I was really pleased about. And I was able to take her through the herd and out to the arena. And definitely once we got out of the herd, her stress level did start to come down pretty quickly. And actually once we got into the arena, I did feel that she was much more relaxed. She was quite, quite tucked up when she was in the herd. And I came into the arena and I basically just worked with walking her around. I tried to incorporate more bending today. Elsa talked in her Poland clinic. I'm sure she's talked about this before, and I'm sure loads of people have talked about this before, that arcs and circles are shapes which help horses relieve stress. I don't really know why. That's one of those things that's on the list of things at this moment that I just accept because people have told me that's how it is, and I don't understand it yet. And sometimes I think in life it's important to do that. wherever you can. For me, I find that quite difficult. I find it difficult to remember things that I don't understand the meaning behind. But I think as more of my skills, my feel and timing becomes more unconscious, I have a little bit more brain space to try to remember those things and incorporate them, and just at some point I'm sure I'll work out the meaning behind it, or I'll learn about the meaning behind it. But for now, all I know is that plenty of trainers and instructors over the years have told me about this. And so today I had this aim in my mind that I just wanted to help her feel better. And I knew that along the way we were going to do some walking, which was exactly what I wanted for her physical rehab anyway. So it was a win-win really. And so because I knew we would be walking anyway, it was great because it meant that I was able to really focus my intention on helping her to feel better. Which I think went quite well. I tried to incorporate some stops before she felt the need to stop, and some walking before she felt the need to walk. I definitely think the first 10 minutes of the session was better than the last 10 minutes of the session. We worked for about 20 minutes, and I think the first 10 minutes felt really good. And then I think she maybe got a little bit bored. Maybe I got a little bit direct line. I started playing with different concepts, like that I wanted to sort of really just lightly and gently guide her with a little bit of pressure, just kind of in the middle of her barrel as I'm walking, in a really just like easy going, kind of like some lateral movements where we're just walking the whole kind of long side of the arena, and I'm just like very slowly, lightly just pushing her just, you know, half a meter, you know, in the whole space of the arena, just to kind of start to get her thinking about just stretching and crossing those legs underneath, or just, you know, moving a little bit more with some consideration of the movement of her legs. So maybe that was too direct line of me. Maybe I sort of forgot my intention. Not really sure. So that needs a little bit of consideration, but I did manage to leave it on a good note. I could feel that she wanted to leave. We'd stopped at one point at the gate, and I'd known that she wanted to stop, and I tried to say no and push past. We'd ended up stopping anyway, and then I kind of got into this thing where I wasn't really sure if it was a good pattern to get her in, to end up stopping at the gate every time or not, because definitely that's not a pattern that I want to put in. But equally, if I'm playing this game of knowing what she wants and understanding her, then I also need to be ahead of her to stop there. And maybe I just am not fast enough. Maybe I'm just, you know, in that weird middly bit of the pattern where I'm not committing. And that's probably explains it, but I wasn't really sure about what was happening there. And I then walked forward a few more steps to the corner, stopped again. I was able to give her a little scratch on her face, and then she had a nice little lick and chew. And so I just thought, you know what, that's the good moment. I'm leaving there. And that's something that definitely I feel more confident in now as well. And that's something that came into my session with Lawrence as well, is knowing that finding a good place to leave it on. Yes, it's great if it's the best, if it's the best feeling of the session. That's great. But the same concept over time can still be achieved simply by stopping or leaving at a moment of curiosity, a moment where the horse felt better. And it doesn't really matter what for. In that moment, Mia felt better because I just scratched her. She felt good about that. Great, that's a good moment to leave. And just having that confidence that I don't need to question whether this moment of curiosity is better than this other moment, or if I should wait for a better moment. If I'm done and there's a moment of curiosity, I can take it and leave, and that's okay. And I definitely feel much more confident doing that now. And I think that is going to help me be more consistent in the pattern of leaving in a good place. Some days will be a better place than others, but they'll all be good places, which is really important. Yeah, so I left Mia and I went to Lawrence, played again today with the scratching pattern, which went well. He's definitely starting to get the concept of the nose touch to make you feel better. I basically approached him pretty much immediately, offered him the nose touch, which he accepted, and then started scratching. I was sort of like straight into the game. And Yeah, definitely as well. I felt like he was starting to realise that I would scratch him, and I was trying really hard to like notice when he was like moving or when he was like leaning, or where, like, kind of predict where he was going to go next, like trying really hard to be ahead of him so that he wouldn't move his feet, so he wouldn't feel like he had to move his feet. And definitely I was somewhat more successful than I was yesterday. Definitely it felt quite successful today. And I also felt that he was learning that the minute that he moved his feet, that was the minute he lost me, and I would go nose to tail, run my hand along his dorsal line, walk back around and offer again. And so he was definitely, I think, noticing that he needed to, that the aim of the game was to keep his feet still while I was scratching him. And definitely came to a place where after some time he didn't want any more scratches. The one thing I'm not as happy about is when that happens consistently yesterday and today, he has then left. And it's not been very fast. I have then gone with him, but it's then become quite quickly too fast for me to be in flow with. So I've then come back around, I've changed direction, I've walked around looking for the next place of harmony. He's then, today, he stopped in a nice rest, and I was able to rest with him for some time today, which was really nice. Initially, I had a rest with him. Then he turned around and started trying, and I could see he was going to try to itch his ear, but I think he felt like he didn't have enough balance to get his leg up to itch inside his ear. So, you know, sometimes they use their feet to itch inside. And so when he sort of gave up on it, I immediately went over and started scratching inside his ear. And I was able to do that for quite some time, until that I actually sort of almost scratched him into another rest, which was nice. So I sort of like finished by just gently stroking his ear and found a good place to stand next to him. He had another little sleep, and then sort of woke up. I had a moment of like licking and chewing, curiosity and thinking, and so I left it there. And I was really happy with the session. I definitely feel like it's a little bit like going to the gym. You can't expect, you know, miraculous results in one session. I think this is going to be about a pattern of consistency, and I'm sort of, you know, this is the second day I've come and tried to play with this pattern, and I feel good about the results from today. I definitely think I'm not really sure what I'll do after this pattern, but I guess he'll tell me. I guess I just need to listen to him, and he'll tell me what we're doing next, and then based on that, I guess I'll make my decisions, which is kind of a nice place to be. It sort of takes, it's the other thing that's nice about freedom-based training is it sort of takes the onus off of you. I remember a lot of the time when I was playing with like dominant training with Pirelli a lot, I would have this feeling in my mind like I had to come with all these plans. I had to have a plan. I had to know exactly what I was doing all the time, and I had to make all the decisions, and that felt like a lot of pressure to me. I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing, didn't really feel like I knew what the plan was supposed to be. And that's one of the things I think I like about freedom-based training, is that I do need to know where to be, when to be, and how to be in response or in relationship to what the horse is doing. And I do have my own long-term goals, but fundamentally the horse is setting the timeline, and you turn up and you respond to the horse that you see there. And I quite enjoy that. I feel like that takes the pressure off me, and that's a lot more fun for me, because ultimately, you know, this is about fun. This is my hobby. This is something that I do for joy, and to create joy. And it's much more joyful for me when I don't have that pressure to make plans. So yeah, so it's good. Tomorrow, I think I will be doing something different anyway. I would like to bring Lawrence up and have a look at his foot. I'd like to have a look at potentially packing his frog with some silver and some hoof putty. I'm going to try to once and for all heal this split in the middle in the solstice of his frog that he's had for a few years. He sort of gets recurrent thrush there, and I think that's been partially to do with the barefoot journey, and now he's got the shoes on is a good time, I think, to allow that to heal, but I need to set up the right environment for that to happen. So yeah, so I'd like to potentially get that going tomorrow if I can, and yeah, so it'll be a slightly different session tomorrow anyway, because it'll be a little bit more of a kind of dominant session anyway. Potentially, if I have time, I'd also quite like to do Mija's main, but I may be being a little bit optimistic with how many hours I have. But they could work quite well if I bring them both up together. Then they are both here on the yard together. It gives Mija a little bit of a break from her herd, and gives Lawrence a friend. So maybe that'll work out. I can bring them both up together, stick them on a hay net, and sort those things out. If that works out, we'll see. We'll do our best anyway. Sunday tomorrow, so perhaps I'll give Larissa a buzz and see when she's up so we can coordinate. Yeah, but anyway, it was a super session. I'm really happy with how today went. Yeah, I hope that you guys are all enjoying these videos. I had a bit of a crazy moment the other day. One of my videos has like 400 views on it, which is just wild to me. And then I went through this whole like insecurity of like, oh my God, they're not any good. Oh, they're terrible. Like, people aren't going to come back and watch them again because they're so terrible. And I kind of had to firstly remember that this is something that I'm doing for myself. Because I've always wanted to be able to look back, because I find it quite difficult once I know a skill to remember what it was like before I knew it. And so I wanted that ability to look back, and I also wanted the opportunity to talk about my sessions because it's really helpful for me. And so I kind of had to take root in the core motivations for this project. But if any of my viewers have any suggestions, recommendations, anything they'd like me to talk about, anything they'd like me to talk about less, anything they'd like me to talk about more, anything they like about the format, anything they dislike about the format, please feel free to comment. I promise I won't be offended. I'm really interested in everybody's feedback. And yeah, here's to the next 145 days.